Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. The world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. Logic will get you from A to Z. Imagination will get you everywhere. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Once you stop learning, you start dying. What is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it. You never fail until you stop trying. The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. Genius is 1% talent and 99% hard work. It's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I stay with problems longer. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live as if everything is a miracle. A ship is always safe at shore, but that is not what it's built for. We all know that light travels faster than sound. That's why certain people appear bright until you hear them speak. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he is the garbage man or the president of the university. Blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Weak people revenge. Strong people forgive. Intelligent people ignore. A man should look for what is, and not for what he thinks should be. I am thankful for all of those who said no to me. It's because of them I'm doing it myself. A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. Only those who attempt the absurd can achieve the impossible. Small is the number of people who see with their eyes and think with their minds. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity, and I am not sure about the universe. Education is what remains, after one has forgotten, what one has learned in school. Any fool can know. The point is to understand. The world is not dangerous because of those who do harm, but because of those who look at it without doing anything. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. I must be willing to give up what I am in order to become what I will be. I think and think for months and years. 99 times, the conclusion is false. The 100th time, I am right. I never think of the future. It comes soon enough. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Few are those who see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. A true genius admits that he or she knows nothing. No amount of experimentation can ever prove me right. A single experiment can prove me wrong. If we knew what it was we were doing, it wouldn't be called research, would it? Memory is deceptive because it is colored by today's events. Information is not knowledge. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Never give up on what you really want to do. The person with big dreams is more powerful than the one with all the facts. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. A question that sometimes drives me hazy. Am I or are the others crazy? Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. The mediocre mind is incapable of understanding the man who refuses to bow blindly to conventional prejudices and chooses instead to express his opinions, courageously and honestly. The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. Education is not the learning of facts, it's rather the training of the mind to think. Once we accept our limits, we go beyond them. Few people are capable of expressing with equanimity opinions which differ from the prejudices of their social environment. Most people are even incapable of forming such opinions. When you trip over love, it is easy to get up. But when you fall in love, it is impossible to stand again. 3 rules of work. Out of clutter, find simplicity. From discord, find harmony. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. You can't blame gravity for falling in love. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. I very rarely think in words at all. A thought comes, and I may try to express it in words afterwards. In order to form an immaculate member of a flock of sheep, one must above all be a sheep. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. The only way to escape the corruptible effect of praise is to go on working. The moon does not simply disappear when we are not looking at it. time is an illusion. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. The pursuit of truth and beauty is a sphere of activity in which we are permitted to remain children all our lives. Sometimes, one pays most for the things one gets for nothing. Most teachers waste their time by asking questions that are intended to discover what a pupil does not know. The true art of questioning is to discover what the pupil does know or is capable of knowing. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination and the ability to change. The best way to cheer yourself is to cheer somebody else up. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. The only source of knowledge is experience. The search for truth is more precious than its possession. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. Imagination is the highest form of research. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it. As a human being, one has been endowed with just enough intelligence to be able to see clearly how utterly inadequate that intelligence is when confronted with what exists. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. Truth is what stands the test of experience. Human beings must have action, and they will make it if they cannot find it. The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy and creative expression and knowledge. I'd rather be an optimist and a fool than a pessimist and right. You ask me if I keep a notebook to record my great ideas. I've only ever had one. Nothing happens until something moves. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle, require creative imagination and marks real advance in science. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. The secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources. When you are courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. That's relativity. The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind. All that is valuable in human society depends upon the opportunity for development accorded the individual. Anger dwells only in the bosom of fools.